We are very, very fortunate today to have past District Governor Paul Mee, who is also our District Finance Chair, and we have Gordon Morris, who is our Treasurer for the district, online to support everyone with all things finance matters. Thank you everyone for making the time this afternoon. Now it's ticked over to 12:01, and good to see some people are now into their fourth hour of attending, so they're going for some sort of record. So without further ado, I will hand over to Paul.
Thank you very much, Emma. It's great to see everyone's faces on screen. Emma did mention the district changeover on the 4th of July, and I encourage all of you to register for the district changeover, because it's a great event and you meet some wonderful people. Thank you for allocating your time today with regard to financing your clubs. I have with me to help me today on this session is our District Treasurer, Gordon Morris. Give us a wave, Gordon.
Hello there.
And yeah, Gordon's available obviously to answer questions, etc. What I thought we might do is if you could put yourselves on mute, and if you have a question, please go down to the bottom of your screen and press the reactions button, and you'll see there where you can raise your hand. When you raise your hand, it goes to the top left of my screen, which means that I can see that you want to raise a question. And that's how it works. It's a really good little system. And what we might do to start off with, I've got 3 slides on a PowerPoint presentation, which is some really good information for clubs with regard to finance matters for the coming 12 months. So I thought we might run through that PowerPoint. It'll only take about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we're open for questions. Please keep your questions as brief as you can. You can use the chat function, and I'll ask Gordon if he could keep an eye on the chat function to see if there's questions in there that we can cover. And hopefully, if we are unable to cover all the questions, at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, I have my email address for finance, and please don't hesitate to communicate with me, and we will certainly be able to help you. Okay, I'm just going to do a share screen now. Okay, can everyone see that? Yes? That should be on full screen now. Okay, just a couple of slides here of information that I think will be of value to all the treasurers in the clubs, and also people interested in the finance side of your club. Just to start off with, I wanted to cover the club dues and club subscriptions and what comprises those subscriptions. As you can see my cursor on the screen there, we'll just start off with the dues that are charged by the district once a year. These are the total per member dues that District 9815 will charge this year. It totals $91, and they'll be invoiced in July. That $91 comprises an admin levy of $25. That admin levy has been reduced by 50% because we have some reserves at district level, and we want to pass those back to the clubs and to club members. So our admin levy has been substantially reduced this year. The second component is the insurance levy, which is $54. And this is the insurance for all club members, and it concerns any activity associated with club members doing their work with Rotary clubs. We have a conference levy of $12, and I must point out that we have additional asset insurance for some clubs. As you know, many clubs have a small amount of assets. Those assets are covered separately by insurance and are invoiced separately by the district. One of the other major components of the dues that we pay every year is Rotary International dues. This here on screen highlights what the Rotary International dues will be this year. It'll be about $125, charged in two separate hits, one in July and one in January. So we'll be charged about $62 per member in July and about $63 in January 27. Total $125. And then the third component is Rotary Down Under subscription. This is your magazine, and that's charged at $39 per annum. The total for those three components, yes, Gordon? You're on mute. You're on mute, Gordon.
Can you hear me now?
I beg your pardon?
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to stress that what has changed this year in regards to the district levies that will come out, that there is a new bank account. We have actually moved the administration bank account. It will be actually on the invoice that is sent to all the clubs, but if the treasurers can be aware that it is a new bank account and it's not just doing what's been done every other year, it is a new account at a new branch. Still with the Bendigo Bank, and for those who want to record it, the account number is 241-646-371. I won't interrupt again, Paul, but it was just a case that you've gone through it, and I just want to make sure that the clubs are aware that there has been a change and that clubs will pay to the correct account. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gordon. So the total of those three components is in the region of $255. And look, please note that some clubs levy their members for club meeting expenses like venue expenses and things like that. So obviously, those are on top of that $255. A couple of other things to mention, and perhaps you may have some questions on these. The club member numbers are taken as at the 1st of July from Club Runner, from the district website. And so obviously, it's good to have those up to date at the end of June. It's a good practice for clubs to do a budget, and that obviously includes the member dues, and club member dues should be approved by the club board, preferably in the month of June, so that you can get on with that in July. Did you know that with regard to the Fundraising Act, if you are raising funds for a public cause, then you need to ensure that the beneficiary of that cause has approved your fundraising. Please keep funds raised from the public for projects and just general fundraising separated from the club member account, obviously. We mention this all the time. It's most important.
Paul, there's a couple of questions. Do you want to take them now?
Yes, certainly. Ian Ballantyne, is it? G'day, Ian.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Emma. Just getting back to the dues, it's been traditional in our club. We've sent those invoices out to members in the first quarter of the new year. This year we're changing. We're sending them out in June, because an issue that we all face, of course, is members who are choosing not to renew their membership. Yeah. And because the numbers are taken at the 1st of July, the club ends up carrying that cost of the members who choose to resign after June 30. So without wanting to pressure our members, we want to get a good indication before June 30 because it's so important to get them off the books. And as much as we hate to lose members, but it's financially devastating, and particularly for some clubs where maybe it's, and let's face it, people will leave it to that time to decide whether they're going to renew their membership. So we're sending invoices out in June, and we'll be following up, and we'll be asking the question, if you don't want to renew, we'll take them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, that seems to me to be a really good practice. And it's obviously being a bit proactive in terms of the member numbers.
Yeah.
Gordon, you had a question?
That wasn't a question. I was just going to say that the follow on from that very point is when we're looking at a budget for a new year, it's based on what we think the membership numbers are. And sort of it, unfortunately, we do find that sort of those that are in Club Runner at the 30th of June don't not necessarily meet the numbers that are there in the new year.
Yeah.
And so it's a very good practice actually to have a good feel in regards to how many members will retain at the club.
Yeah. Emma, did you have...
There's one more, sorry, there is one more question if that answer is now finished, from Mark Dobson in the chat. Does the insurance levy cover both work cover insurance and public liability insurance for projects run, and to what amount?
Can you answer that one, Gordon?
I thought you might do that. I was seeing Mark is a member of my club. I can definitely handle that for him, but literally I can't reel off the actual dollar numbers for the maximum amount. But yes, it does cover both liabilities.
Yeah.
And
Thank
Mark,
you.
I'll give you that information. I do have it on file.
Thank you. Thank you, Gordon. We'll just finish this last slide and then I can put it back on full screen and we can, have a chat about whatever questions there are. So, did you know that all not-for-profit entities need to complete an ATO not-for-profit self-review return? This is due annually in March, and it's a fairly new aspect, and your treasurer and secretary should know about that. I think this is the second year that we're doing it now. Club Red treasurers should arrange for a financial review or audit to be provided to their members prior to the AGM in November. I think most clubs do that very comprehensively, which is terrific. And treasurers and secretaries obviously need to lodge the annual statement with Consumer Affairs Victoria under MyCav due in December after the AGM. This is just the annual statement that goes through that all not-for-profits have to do. Club leaders, it's always helpful to read your constitution, the rules and bylaws, particularly the sections on board meetings, forums, voting, AGM notices, and directors' responsibilities. And your first port of call when somebody asks you at a board meeting about quorums and things is your constitution. With regard to contact with me or with the finance committee, you'll see at the bottom of your screen the email address for finance@rotary9815.org.au. That's how you can contact us. Okay, thank you for that. We can see the full screen now, which is terrific. I must admit, at times the finance side of clubs does become very important, and there are certain regulatory governance things that we have to follow, and it's important that we know these things. Does anyone have any questions?
There's a question there from Neville in the chat.
Yep.
The RI dues are 125, but in US dollars, correct? So would the total be more than 255?
No, the number I'll put it back up on screen. That was 120. Let me show you.
Yeah, Paul, it was a 62 equivalent of 62 Aussie and 63. So
yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
As you can see, the US amounts of 42.50 and 43 half yearly, total $125. Okay. Does that answer that question all right? So it's a total of 125.
Yep, Neville's got that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Gordon, did you want to cover a couple of subjects with regard to finance generally?
I suppose that it's just more the issue of how we run the finance area, and obviously we're very keen for clubs to pay levies when they fall due. Obviously, we receive money in because we have expenses that do occur at the start of the year, such as insurance and like. And so therefore, we really ask clubs to be fairly prompt in regards to paying their club levies when you do receive the invoice, and we try to get them out as early as possible. The only other point is, and sort of hopefully it's obvious to everybody, but the reason that Paul talks about approximate numbers in Aussie terms is it's always subject to where the exchange rate is at the time. What is fixed is the US amount we pay. It's just where the exchange rate is at the time when it's actually charged. Literally just mentioning a little about the position of the balance sheet now. We do have a very strong balance sheet at the moment, and it's primarily because we were deliberately conservative when we looked to put together 9810 and 9820 in regards to what reserves we wanted to have coming into 9815. And sort of it then enabled us to ensure that we had sufficient funds there to cover expenses as 9815 expenses came through. What sort of played through now, and since we've been there, is literally it has left us with a fairly strong balance sheet. And so the reduction in the administration levy is one way that we can actually start to pass some of that benefit of the strong balance sheet back to members. And I think the thing that we're very, very conscious of is it's still a reasonable sum of money when you look at $255 in total for people to pay to be a volunteer. And so we're always looking to sort of try and drive down those membership costs wherever we can. And so we wanted to have something that was sustainable and sort of, yes, dropping the admin levy by 50%. If all things operate as we think they should do for the next 12 months, I think members can expect the same sort of reduction the following year. But it's very much subject to what occurs throughout the year.
Yes, thank you. Thanks very much, Gordon. And the district has a very active finance committee, which comprises Gordon as treasurer, obviously. We have Steve Lowe from Rotary Club of Waverley. We've got Philip Headley from Rotary Club of Rosebud Rye. And Rob Cook from Rotary Club of Somerville Tyabb. Tony Monley from Rotary Club of Manningham City. And Gail Tra, the current district secretary, is the secretary of the finance committee. And between us, we try to manage the finances of the district quite prudently. And therefore, as Gordon said a minute ago, we have been quite successful in the past couple of years. And as a result, we've reduced the admin levy by 50% down to $25. So we can claw back some of those reserves in a way by giving them to the as a reduction in levy for this coming year. And we're also hopeful that we can do it again the following year as well. And so, as you're all aware, we have another district, I suppose you could call it merger or redistricting, coming up on the 30th of June 28, where Rotary District 9815 will be merging with other clubs in the eastern side of Victoria and Tasmania. And so we'll be forming a new district, or it even might be called something else, who knows? And as a result, we've got 2 more years of District 9815, and then it's going to be a bigger district. And that'll be really interesting because we'll obviously incorporate Tasmania as well as some more clubs in Victoria. And so we've got a little bit of information on that. I don't know that it's all approved by Rotary International yet. In fact, we've got District Governor nominee Murray Wilson with us at the moment, and he's an authority on the subject. He's our representative on the national body that is working through these district merger aspects. But I don't know whether you wanted to say something, Murray?
Yes, certainly, Campbell. So currently, the RI board has before them a proposal for South Pacific Zone, and it looks like, or the recommendations that have gone to the board is that 9815 and 9830 merge. We were going to have a couple of other clubs from our northern neighbours join us, but we've decided against that in the recommendations. So the new district will be called 9825, and this is all subject to the RI board approval and then a vote in July. So if anybody's interested in being a future district governor of the new district, we'll be opening up expressions of interest in early August with the view to appoint the district governor for 28-29 for the new district. That appointment hopefully will be ratified by the end of August. So if you're interested, please get in touch with Emma or myself, and we'd love to have a chat to you. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Murray. So with regard to clubs and finance, are there any questions? What about fundraising? Are there any questions with regard to fundraising and what we do with the funds there, keeping them separate, of course, from club member account? I'll also just put, unless we've got any questions, I'll just put that PowerPoint. Yes, Ian Ballantyne, go ahead again.
Me again. Thanks, Paul. I've got the dubious honour of becoming my club's treasurer this coming year. And I have an accounting background, and I was somewhat, I should have already known this, and I've assumed otherwise, but it appears that our accounts have been basically in the one, and I'm hopefully I'm talking to a lot of accountants here, so you're going to know what I'm talking about, basically in the one chart of accounts. Separate bank accounts for club admin and fundraising, because I think that's what we're talking about at the moment. But to me, it's been difficult, if not impossible, to get proper reporting, because when you look at anything, any sort of profit and loss or any sort of report, you've got the two merged together. So it's my intention to set up effectively two companies, as it were, two separate charts of accounts, and run them totally independently. And I'm going back to a program that I'm used to using, which is QuickBooks. But I was just wondering, does anybody know of any standard chart of accounts which has been adopted amongst clubs, or is every club doing it themselves? Because I'm about to start creating a new chart of accounts. And I was just wondering, have we got any user group happening or some sort of conformity that perhaps we can follow? Because I don't want to go reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Ian Ballantyne. I think Colin wants to mention something there.
Yeah, Ian, I know that Steve Lowe, he uses Xero, but he's actually created a standard chart of accounts for Rotary clubs. He's actually, there's a number of Rotary clubs that have actually adopted it, and I've actually looked at it. It's pretty good, so yeah.
Yep, good. Might be a good place to start. I don't want to go I mean, my previous treasurer's been on my ob, I think. I know Steve's was zero. I just
Yeah.
want to have a simple one that I'm used
Yeah,
to
well,
using.
he's got a chart of accounts irrespective of the back
Exactly. So
system.
I could use that as a basis to start with. I mean, I know in my head how it's got to look, but I just thought before I start from absolute scratch, it'd be great to, and I mean, then it's almost inferring perhaps a bit of conformity amongst all clubs, because I mean, surely that's what we want to be heading towards.
Well, at a district level, we've actually moved from QuickBooks across to Xero. And that movement was very much a case of when we're combining 1.0 and 2.0, we looked at 1.0 using Xero, and obviously having Steve there as well, it was a smooth transition for us. And one thing, operating both of them, I can assure you that Xero does give you definitely a far greater reporting capability.
Oh, I'm sure it does, but I don't want to necessarily be forced to go one of those paths, because I know Steve drove towards Xero, and that's great, and I'm sure it does a great job. I just want something that I'm familiar with, set it up. And as Colin says, all we really need is a standard chart of accounts. It doesn't have to be within a package, because the actual creation, entering is a simple process. So I just think maybe a chart of accounts would be handy to have across all clubs. That's all. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, good, Ian.
Thanks, Paul.
In the chat, we've got Nana Wadding will be using Xero next Rotary year with Steve. And may I point out, Steve Lowe is on our district finance committee. He's, I suppose you could say, a resident expert on Xero. And it is a really good software. Obviously, clubs can use whatever software they wish, and naturally in collaboration with their accountants and auditors. We have chosen at district level to use Xero, and my club uses Xero as well. We found the reporting for that software is really good, and it helps too. And may I say that there is help available via Steve Lowe. And you can contact Steve through me or directly, of course, if you have any issues with the Xero software accounting. In the chat, we've got Mount Waverley moved from Recon hosted to Xero last year, and Steve Lowe helped us. Oh, that's good. Yeah, he's a wealth of information, and he can bring out, there's some wonderful benefits that are available via Xero. And so that package is pretty good for Rotary clubs. Okay.
Neville, did you have a question? Neville has a question from Bentley Murban. Yep.
Sorry, just trying to unmute it. I'm in the same club as Ian, and sorry, I forgot to say hi, Paul. So Ian's talking about chart of accounts. One only needs to have one chart of accounts, whether it be MYB or Xero. You can have a consolidated P&L plus a job P&L. So in other words, a separate P&L for each account, and that alleviates the necessity of multiple chart of accounts.
Did you want to comment there, Gordon?
Well, I think what the guys are talking about is very much at a club level. For what we do at a district level, obviously that's different. But literally, I suppose every club is slightly different in regards to the activities it gets involved in. At a district level, you'd be horrified the number of bank accounts we have, but we're so pure in regards to every different activity we have a different bank account from, because we need to always ensure that money is only going to its designated purpose, and we report on that literally monthly in regards to where we are and where we operate and all the rest of it. I'm sure we're a huge headache for Bendigo Bank because we do have so many accounts with them. But overall, I think it still should be left to clubs about which software they wish to use for it. I think what Ian's really saying is, do we actually sort of stipulate with that software package how the chart of accounts should look?
Yeah. And at district level, we have one chart of accounts, but as Gordon said, a multitude of different different bank accounts, and they all come together in the one balance sheet.
Yep.
We can produce separate profit and losses for each segment, and we can produce a consolidated profit and loss as well. And so that meets the circumstances that we like and that we enjoy. And obviously those accounts are audited every year. And our auditor, we've got something like 16 different bank accounts at district level. Because, as you know, there are the Rotary programs like RILA and RIPAN. Then we have a number of specific accounts with Foundation. And so they all come together in the one balance sheet. And it's quite comprehensive. At club level, obviously, every club is different in the way it raises its funds. And that's why sometimes it's difficult for the district committee and the district finance people to make across the board comments about finance, because, as you know, each club is autonomous in its own decision making. But generally speaking, we try to be extremely transparent in what we do and make sure that we have the governance covered pretty well. And if you have any questions at all with regard to finance and the governance of finance, please don't hesitate to come to us, and we'll know where to find the answers to those questions.
Paul,
There's a question in the chat.
From
you.
I was just
You
going to
go,
say,
Gordon. No, you go, Gordon. That's okay.
Oh, no, sorry. There was a question in regards to what the cost of Xero was. I'm sorry, I can't. It's actually moved on my screen. Who
Just
actually
what it
asked the
costs,
question?
yeah,
and
operating Xero.
It obviously is a function of the level of activity. We have a couple of licenses because we do have a situation of with 9810. There's a charitable trust structure that we needed to account for separately, and we do have a hangover of a residual of 9810 accounting that needed to occur. But there is a monthly charge that we pay for 9815 of $70 a month. But that would obviously have a lot to do with the volume activity that we have. So we'd need to speak to Steve or someone to actually ascertain what the monthly cost would be. Like I said, some of the fees, like the 9810 charge, is half that at 35, and the charitable trust is about $6.50. So it really varies in regards to the volume of activity expected for that license.
Yeah. I noticed in the chat there that Lynn's put in there that we are paying $35 a month, with Steve being available at any time for help. Yep. And obviously that's a club. And as Gordon said, I think the cost is applicable to the amount of activity and the complexity of the accounts.
Correct.
And so for that sort of number each month, and also having somebody available to provide advice is makes good sense to me, certainly.
Yeah. Especially when you consider new people coming into the role, if not every year, every couple of years. And so to have a person who's there to ask questions of, I personally found beneficial.
Yes, indeed. That's right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks again, Gordon. Has anybody got any questions? I'll just screen share again. I just want to cover a couple of points in the presentation that I put forward.
Paul, there was a question asking whether that presentation was going to be available. Can you actually save it here so individuals can get that information?
Yeah. Is David still with us?
Well, we will make it available, Paul, with the recording as well, if that's okay with you. Yep. If you just forward it to David. Yep. Oh, there he is.
So they can access the record. All those that have registered for this session will receive a link for the recording of the session, and the PowerPoint presentation will be on that link. I assume, is that correct, David?
If they can view the recording and watch you all over again, Paul.
For those suffering from insomnia, but yes.
Well, I can take it in small portions.
Okay, I can't see any questions on screen, so I'm just going to do the screen share again. I just wanted to focus on a couple of points. Okay, here we go again. I'll just go back. Here we go. Okay. That's full screen. Yeah, this was the annual dues, total 255, plus of course any club individual matters with regard that they charge the members with regard to perhaps the venue for their club meetings, etc. On this slide 2 here, I made mention about the Fundraising Act. And obviously, it's most important to separate funds that are raised from the public, particularly when the assumption can be made that the public is making a charitable donation. And in some activity that we do, it could be reasonably assumed by the public that they are making a charitable donation. So it's really important that we separate those funds. Ian Ballantyne mentioned with regard to his club, and that he's going to introduce some new measures with regard to making sure that those funds are kept separately. Obviously, they can all come together in the one chart of accounts, but it's most important that the bank accounts are separated.
Paul, if I just may make a comment, there is absolutely no question that that isn't happening at the moment. You know, we have clearly segregated funds, so I don't want anybody thinking for a moment that we're not abiding by that. Obviously, Neville and I need to talk more, but I can assure you that they are totally separated. And it's just simply a case of making sure that we can produce accurate and timely information for the board. And I think all treasurers should be reminded of that we don't only have governance responsibilities, but we have responsibilities to our board to be able to produce timely and accurate information.
Yeah, and indeed, Ian, the board is taking responsibility on behalf of the club members with regard to financial matters. And so it's certainly important that if a club member has any questions, that they are answered by the club treasurer or indeed by the board, who are accepting those positions in taking responsibility on behalf of the club. Yeah, so and obviously some clubs are levying their members, for various things, as well as what they receive via district and via the Rotary International, and of course the RDU subscription of $39 that comes through as well. So I think, we've got a question from Mark. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Mark.
Is that better?
That's better.
Fantastic. The question is, I'm a new member. I've only been a member for 3 years, and obviously, as a new member, we obviously pay a fee, which is the 255. Is there a document that actually breaks down all those different elements? So, what the 125 US actually covers for new members to explain. Obviously, if there's a million plus members, that's 125 million, which goes towards Rotary internationally generally. Be able to explain. Obviously, people going, why is volunteers paying to be? Obviously, in the old days, as a BNI type business networking organization, you're trying to sell to the new members, which probably aren't necessarily all business orientated. Is there a document which we can explain why and how and what the reason is for the cost?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and thank you for raising it, Mark. The information with regard to finance is available on Rotary.org by Rotary International do provide quite a lot of information. I would suspect that Tony Monley could also provide some information there. Go ahead, Tony.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, look, I have served on the International Finance Committee, so I've seen the process that RI goes through. So it has to fund, the RI staff and officers around the world. So there is a very detailed bottom-up budget process that is done every year, and that is scrutinised by a finance committee, which has geographic representation around the Rotary world of members. So there are members who actually sit there and grill senior management on where money is going. So there is quite a robust process that challenges the budgeting and the fee setting process. But you don't necessarily get to see that as an average member, but you need to have confidence that process exists. The annual accounts obviously give detail of where money goes. They are quite explanatory, quite detailed. There is a video that is produced each year, and it is shown at the annual regional conference, but it should also be downloadable, I think, from the website, which talks about every year's budget, talks about the budget process and where the money's going each year. So there is quite a bit of information out there, and there is quite a bit of scrutiny that goes into the international accounts.
And is that all found on the district website?
On the Rotary.org, on the global website.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, there's a wealth of information on Rotary.org, Mark, covering this subject. And as Tony mentioned, once every 3 years at the Council of Legislation, decisions are made regarding forward budgeting for those dues, and that information is available. So we know what the dues will be next year as well. And I think it was $42 I put on screen, wasn't it? $42 a half year US dollars. Yeah. So
it was $42.58.
Yeah. So that's what we're being levied by the organisation as an international body. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Have we got any other questions? I'm surprised there's no question. There hasn't been many questions about fundraising and information with regard to the accounting and financial aspects of that. But that's good. Okay, we're just about coming to the end of the session anyway. It's 12:44, and I know Emma's got another session coming on board at 1 o'clock. So unless there's any last minute questions, thank you everyone. We certainly hope that your coming year is a fruitful one with your clubs, and particularly with the finance area. Not forgetting, we at the District Finance Committee is available, and we are happy to provide information to you if you need help.